Hello everybody. It's been a while since I put a video out there, so I thought I would show you my latest venture. I'm making this sweater for my 10-year-old daughter. She picked it out online. It's a free knitting pattern from Lion brand yarns, and it's a fisherman's wool oversized Aran pullover. And it's actually an advanced pattern, and I've never attempted anything this difficult before. I'm working, so you start on the back and you cast on your stitches, and then you do the lower ribbing, which is you alternate between row 1 and 2, and of course it tells you what to do. And then once you're done with that, then you go to the cable patterns section, which is completed over 1 and 2 rows. And in between those 2 rows you have a lot of different cable patterns. Let me get the right page here. You have a center cable pattern, a left double cross, a left wide cable pattern, a left twist pattern, a right double cross cable pattern, right wide cable pattern, and then of course there's some other ones down here, but they go to like the sleeves and the neck and all that stuff. Right now I'm just working on the back. So you're going back and forth between row 1 and row 2 in your cable patterns, and then you have all these different cables to do in between. So I've worked on this sweater several times, and I've pulled it out probably 4 times because of mistakes that I made that were little silly mistakes, and I wasn't far enough into it to make it worth, to knit, to tink and go backwards and try to fix it that way, so I just ripped the whole thing out. I wanted to show you, I'm using this yarn. It's a really pretty yarn. So this is like a number 4 thickness yarn. It's not wool. In fact, I've already forgotten the name of it, but it's really pretty, and these are what the cable patterns look like. However, I just realized that I made a critical error. This left twist pattern, okay, so before I explain the left twist thing, so in between all the cables, they have you place stitch markers, so that you can kind of tell, okay, this in between here, this is one cable pattern, and in between this is another pattern, and so on. So it helps keep it, kind of organized, so you know what you're doing, what's coming next. But what I didn't realize when I first started doing this, because there's so many different cables, the left twist pattern here, there's more than 1 row. So for all of the times in between each cable, you do this left twist. And so I've just been doing this purl 2, knit 3, purl 2 in between each cable. And what I just realized a while ago that there's more than 1 row to this left twist. And there's actually a total of 4 rows, and you end up repeating rows 3 and 4 after you do the first 2. So I have completely messed this thing up, and it's not looking exactly the way that it should, even though to me it looks really pretty the way that it is. But I think I'm going to just pull the whole thing out again for the 5th time and try to redo it so that it's actually properly done. But I wanted to share with you guys, if those of you who are like me who maybe haven't been knitting for too long. I've been doing it now for, I don't know, 5 years or something. But I've never attempted anything super complicated. I've made cardigans and I've made sweaters, but I've never made anything this complex before with all these different cable patterns. And what I discovered is, to help keep myself from getting too confused, is I started writing it down on paper, each row. I look ahead before I knit the rows, and I write down row 1 and row 2 for the cable patterns, and then I write down, of course, the number of rows, the total number of rows underneath it, so I know where I'm at. And then I've got right side, wrong side, and then I just write down, and I've abbreviated: knit the knits, purl the purls, slip the marker, and then here's the left twist: purl 2, knit 3, purl 2, slip the marker on this one, purl to marker, and etc., etc. And then above that, I started abbreviating for the cables, like left wide cable. I need to do what row 18 has for this one, and what is this one? Left double cross cable. I'm on row 14 of that one in this particular row. So I look at my pattern and I write down what row 14 says to do here. Center cable pattern, right double cross or whatever, and right wide cable pattern, so on and so forth, just to kind of keep it so that it makes sense. And this works for me. The only thing, it would have been perfect if I would have realized that I had did this left twist thing incorrectly, so now I have to redo it. But I wanted to show you guys what I've done so far, and maybe it might help you if you're working on something, maybe not this particular pattern, but some other pattern that's equally difficult for the first time, and maybe it might help you, you know, like this helped me a lot to write it down. I know when I was sitting there trying to just keep track of it somehow on paper, and all the different cables, I got too confused and I had problems and I just couldn't. It's too complicated. It's impossible for me mentally to keep track of it. So this was my way to do it, in my messy handwriting, but it works for me. But now I've got to pull the whole thing out and start over and do the left twist thing correctly. But anyways, I just wanted to show that to you guys and you know, show you where I'd made a mistake and that I got this really pretty yarn that kind of works, and there's something on there right there. And anyways, my daughter's just gonna have to be patient, and it's gonna take me a while to get this all done. Obviously, I made it, I thought I was doing well. I'm like, wow, I've made it really far and it looks good, and then I got to looking real close at the pattern and realized I'd made that really critical mistake. So oh well. Don't get discouraged. It's really easy to get discouraged, especially if you pull things out a bunch of times. And I've had to do that repeatedly with lots of projects, not just this one. But keep trying and find something that works for you, like all this writing does for me. I'm going to start over, rip these pages out, and rewrite. See, now all I have to do is recopy what I wrote, with the exception of the left twist. I will have to look at my pattern and write that in there, but everything else is written correctly, so I double checked when I went back and restarted it to make sure that I had everything written correctly and no mistakes there. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope this is helpful to some of you. Hope you guys are having a great week.